Hi everyone, welcome to our evening Himalaya highs with Heather Hawkins and her family, her son Callum, Rebecca or Bat and Matthew. Just as we get started, I'm going to show a short video just to get everyone in the mood for the evening. The Great Himalaya Trail is the longest and highest alpine walking track in the world. It's mentally and physically challenging, but those that have completed it all comment that it was a life-changing experience for them.
Every day you're gaining something and you've got this incredible country that you're trekking through, and doing it has been absolutely, one of the most rewarding things I've ever done in life.
World Expeditions offers fully supported treks along the entire length of the Great Himalaya Trail, which can be undertaken in either one long, continuous 152-day trek or broken down into one of the individual 7 sections as well.
Being in Himalaya for that long was a wonderful time, just away from all the distractions back home and nothing to keep you away from the moment.
I was amazed actually at our kitchen crew and our cooks at being able to produce these amazing meals, sometimes in the middle of nowhere with little in the way of resources and shelter even.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the connections out of our staff, the Sherpas, warriors and cooks that have all been incredible people, and the unique experiences we've shared with them have absolutely been unreal.
They've always had a smile on their faces. We were having a bad day, then they were always there to cheer us up and help us along the trail. You're weary, you've been trekking for 5-6 hours, and you've still got a steep mountain to climb, but you can get yourself through just by thinking positively, having others around you to talk those feelings through, and before you know it, you're at that top of the mountain and you've done it.
The Great Himalaya Trail is so special because you're literally walking across the entire Nepal section of the Himalaya. There's something truly special about walking along the Great Himalaya Trail.
Oh, go for it.
It's a life-changing experience. You'll be rewarded with experiences and challenges and a general feeling of goodness. I can't really describe it. Goodness.
Can we just have the lights on for thanks. Wow, amazing. So, yeah, that says it all, really. I think I failed to introduce myself. My name is Gavin Turner. I'm the Himalayan Operations Manager here at World Expeditions. It's a real privilege to have such a great turnout this evening. I'm wondering about my voice. Yeah, we had a microphone here, but
I think that was
can everyone hear me at the back? Thumbs up? Great. Sure. So I won't stand up here for too long. I guess I just want to say a few things about us, about World Expeditions. We've been operating in the Himalaya for about 40 years, and that gives us, I think, a unique depth of experience to run the GHT. And I guess that must be true because we're the only organisation in the world that is doing this. Other companies are doing a trek here and there in one of those 7 sections that Heather and her family will talk about this evening. We're the only company that does the whole thing. Over 147 days, and if you include a couple of rest days, I think it tops over 150. So, my goal for this evening is at least 10 people to sign up for the full GHT. So, I'll check in at the end of the evening and hopefully that happens. So yeah, as I said, we've been over there for decades. And it means that we've got the relationships in place and the people in place to make an extraordinary, life-changing adventure like this possible. I just want to say a couple of words about responsible travel and sustainable tourism. It's for anyone that's travelled in the developing world, whether it be Thailand or Nepal or South America, I think we've all seen the impact, negative or positive, that tourism can have in these places. And that's certainly the case in Nepal. One of our goals is, one of our deepest commitments is responsible travel. And I think one aspect of that actually is our role in pioneering the GHT and taking responsible tourism into these parts of Nepal that haven't seen tourism previously. And that's literally the case. The GHT does go through the Everest and Annapurna regions, parts of the Himalaya that are well known, but it also goes way out west and to the Far East as well. And so it's really important for us that we're taking people there in a conscious and mindful and sustainable way. And I feel proud of the fact that we are, and I'm sure Heather and her family will speak to that this evening. Another point just quickly to touch on is that we've been fortunate to work very closely with Robin Boosted, and he was one of the, the grandfathers of the GHT movement, and he saw the need and the vision to take trekking and tourism to these parts of Nepal that really have remained unchanged for millennia. And so, when we sort of look at our spreadsheet and put together the GHT, it's very much with Robin's philosophy and vision in mind. So, without further delay, I just want to say a few words about the exceptional company we've got here this evening. I've got a couple of notes there, but I'll just try and do without those. I first met Heather and her family, I think it was the end of last year. Yes. It's gone quickly, but I think it was the end of last year. Callum was going over to Nepal on one of our mountaineering expeditions in the Everest region, sort of slightly west there. And of course, they were already booked and excited to go on the GHT. Heather, I know, is one of those rare and exceptional people that has that sense of adventure and life spirit that I guess gives her the motivation to do things such as this. In 2007, she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and that started a quest and a spirit to really reconnect with that source of life. And what started off as a couple of kilometre run along the beaches of Sydney evolved to, I think, one of the things that I find most staggering is that last year she ran 7 marathons in 7 days in 7 different continents. And actually, am I right in saying that was in January?
That was in January, yes.
Yeah, that was in January of this year. Yeah. Came back, had a shower, relaxed for a couple of days, and then went and did the GHT.
Yeah, it was 3 weeks before we started, so it was a quick turnaround, that's for sure.
And so when Heather arrived this evening, I said, how's everything going? Are you recovering? Have you recovered from the GHT? And she said, yeah, I did a marathon, a couple of weeks later. So, really an exceptional person. So without further delay, I'll pass the evening over to Heather. Thanks, Heather.
Fantastic. Do you have the little clicker still, Gavin?
No, I don't.
Oh, here it is.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yep.
No worries. It's my little gadget for the night. Yes. Fantastic. Well, look, thanks everyone for coming along tonight. It means the world to us to be able to share our journey and our love of Nepal and our love of having adventures as a family, because we've really come away with a lot stronger bonds. You can imagine some of this, the situations that we went through, the experiences, but we certainly all grew as individuals but as a family as well. So so the GHT, it's a pretty epic journey, and I guess I'd finished the World Marathon Challenge and I had 3 weeks to prepare, and thankfully we bought most of our gear before then. and spent the last couple of weeks, getting used to trekking boots and packing, and before we knew it, we were on the plane and heading to Kathmandu. And that was the beginning of this incredible journey. And stretching ahead of us was 152 days. And to have that amount of time, to step away from normal life and just to be, living in the moment and trekking for most of those days was absolutely, wonderful. And not to have, the distractions of work and, the internet and pay bills and things. But just to really be immersed in Nepal. So we got to Kathmandu. Had a couple of days where we could buy our gear, eat some great food, do a little bit of sightseeing, and then we were on the bus to the airport. And from Kathmandu, we flew way out east to a place called Bhadrapur, and then hopped on a little tiny bus. Who's been on those buses, on those roads in Nepal? Yeah. So we had it was about 11 hours, wasn't it? It was quite a long bus ride to a place called Tapthajong. And so again, that was way out east, because that was our starting point, out east, and we knew we had to get across the country all the way to the west in about 152 days. Here we are. So this is us. This is on our very first day. We put our packs on. We're going, oh wow, we've got this journey ahead. We're all bright, shiny, clean, have a little bit more, yes, clean shaven, and yes, a little bit more weight on, and going, wow, here we go, guys. So we're really, really excited. So this is just a little video we wanted to show you. Into all those stages. So what we'll do tonight, we're going to take it in turns talking about the different stages. And so I'm going to start with stage 1. So that was the Kanchenjunga region. So that's the furthest east region. And so basically we had our brand new hiking boots, everything ready to go. We're sort of, starting off in lower altitude at this stage. So there's no snow at the beginning, and we're walking through these beautiful terraced crops, through cardamom fields, and the rhododendrons were blooming at that stage, which was absolutely beautiful. It was still quite warm, and the good thing was during this time you're getting to know the guides. getting used to living in those little yellow tents that you'll see plenty of photos coming up. Yeah, that was our home basically for the whole time. We did stay in a few eco-lodges for a few nights here and there, but these little yellow tents, yeah, were basically our home, yeah, where we basically slept wherever, whether it was on a glacier or on the side of a mountain or in a valley. It was, yeah, wonderful. Yeah, so this is us starting out, and then we're gradually going up a little bit higher, just taking it very easy because we're acclimatising at this stage, getting our bodies used to getting up high, because once we did get up high, those first few stages were actually spent quite a bit of time at altitude. So we do have a couple of little videos put within our slides, so I'm hoping this will play. Yeah, here we go. So this just basically shows the panorama of where we were. So yeah, the snowy peaks are coming into view, which is really exciting. We're starting to rug up a bit more. Here's some of our team, and then those fabulous little yellow tents that we call home. And to see those mighty peaks is just so exhilarating, knowing that, you know, we're going to be spending a few months up in this amazing country. Yeah. And it's so vast. You know, you're just surrounded. So this is Kachinjunga Base Camp. I'm not sure if you can hear this. That's probably the quietest video, but if you missed it up the back, we're just saying we're at Kachinjunga Base Camp. Yeah, really excited to be here. And you can probably see just the subtle effect of altitude, a little bit of a puffy face, but that certainly went away. So for about 24 hours I had no wrinkles, which I was really happy about. Yeah, but that was probably our first time that we're up into the really icy, cold conditions up at altitude, and you could see a couple of staff walking past. That's one of the amazing Sherpas that was with us for 2-3 sections, wasn't it? That we had like Hawkins. Yeah. So what we were doing? Yeah, we're certainly going across lots of these fabulous suspension bridges, across the deep ravines, crossing over the rivers. This kind of gives you a good idea of the campsites that we'd set up. We'd have our dining tent, and all the little other tents would be, surrounding the dining tent. And just out, when you're looking out the door of your tent, you've got these amazing mountains that you're waking up to in the morning, which is just beautiful. We're at a place called Gunsa, and as part of the Nepalese tradition, is before you go up any further into altitude, if you're going over high passes or climbing mountains, they have a blessing ceremony called a puja. And so this is the whole team. You can see there's quite a few of the team. We've got the porters, the kitchen staff, our guides, the Sherpas, and you gather all your mountaineering, your boots, your ropes, your harnesses, all your gear you're going to be using, and they bless it. And it's beautiful. It's a lovely, lovely ceremony. And you feel prepared, you feel ready to then go up into the mountains. So it's a lovely experience to go through. And here we are, we're up in the mountains. This was crossing over our first, basically our first high pass. It was over 5,000 metres. At this stage it wasn't a technical pass, it was just some deep snow. And that was exhilarating to think, wow, this is the start of getting up into altitude. So it was, so basically the second part of Kachinjunga is quite high, quite snowy, and then that leads on to a link section. For those doing the full GHT, you have about 17 days, I think,
yeah,
link section that then links into section 2. And I'll just add too, we had 3 Aussies join us for the stage 1, so that was fantastic. So they were with us for 3 weeks, and then we had to say goodbye to them as they headed home. And we were by ourselves for the link section with the staff, and then we had a guy from the UK come and join us for stage 2, which is great, to see some new faces, have people come and share those stages with us, which was absolutely awesome. So So I think that might be the end of my stage, and I'll hand over to Cal.
Alright, so stage 2, Manaslu region. Coming up close to the Everest region and moving on to the far west. So from here, we met at stage 2 group at Yangli and moved up all the way up to Manaslu Base Camp, which is an absolutely beautiful spot. So at Manaslu Base Camp, we'll go up to altitude again, so within about 5,000 meters range. We're acclimatizing well. Nick, who was a guy from the UK who joined us at Yangli was acclimatizing, getting the same mountain legs as we were, so he was able to keep up with us and have a good time at it. At beautiful Manaslu, 5th tallest mountain in the world, absolute stunning views from base camp. We had a acclimatization day and also had a technical mountaineering training day just to get everyone on the same page when we had to hit up the technical mountaineering passes. So as we head up through the, up the Yarra Valley and then across Manaslu, we had beautiful views of Lhotse and Everest come up into the west, and just absolutely stunning conditions we had. Very lucky with the weather. So this time of year, it was coming around April, so main peak season, climbing all the 8,000 meter peaks, and so you have beautiful views of everything at that altitude. So this photo here is coming up to Shupani Col, where we made our way up to, which is our first 6,000 meter technical high pass of the GHT. And then follow on from West Col, which is another 6,000 meter pass. So these two passes are separated by a glacier plateau about 400 meters, and we did both passes in one day, which ended up being about a 15-16 hour day going at it. It was a big day. It was a big day, and conditions were quite, positive for our experience, which is very, very lucky in that time of year. And it was a bit cold, but at that altitude, you're prepared. You've got the right equipment, you've got the right guides, support, anything you need, they're there for you at that time. And we could not have been more looked afterwards. So that was a great time at it. Here's the team all roped up on that early morning alpine start. We got up at about 3:30 in the morning and got the camp ready. Everyone's feeling excited and pumped for the day ahead. So section 2 of the Great Himalaya Trail is the most technical side moment of the Great Himalaya Trail. It's best if you do have a slight background to mountaineering, know how to use crampons, ice axe, all that, but it is included when you do section 2 that you go through a couple of training days at both Manaslu Base Camp, at Swiss Base Camp, and then a bit more at Shupani Col Base Camp, just to really solidify your confidence and also skills at altitude and using technical gear. They're not overly technical. We all managed to get over there without with all different backgrounds in mountaineering and rock climbing. So if we could all do it, I'm sure you can too. So coming up, we crossed Shupani Col and West Col, came to the Hongkou Basin, absolutely beautiful site. And then the following day, we moved further down to Umphalupsha Base Camp. And we had a bit of snow overnight, which has covered everything in a beautiful blanket. On our way up to Umphalupsha, which is another technical pass at about 5,845 meters. Perfect conditions, as you can see. And it was all on fixed lines, so technical ropes, we continued well, and pushed through. The legs and the body was quite tired from Shupani Col and West Col on the same day, but we had the energy. It was still early on in the trip, so we were able to continue very strong and encourage each other all the way through. So this is a quick video of coming up to Umphalupsha Pass, on the fixed lines, and then up to the summit ridge. So you're connected to the fixed lines, which are put in by Sherpas. They're anchored into rocks using snow stakes, snow anchors, and we have a fixed line with a safety and an ascendant juma. So you're well secured in, and you feel very safe. So you follow through, lovely pass along the way. Bit of a drop, but hey, you're quite secure as the mountain. Yes. So here's myself, me, and one of the Sherpas at the top of the summit there, just checking things out. And here we are descending down, abseiling down with a figure of 8. We can also use ATC. And you go through all the use of this technical gear. Beautiful views, down to the next valley, on our way to Chukum, and then up through into the Everest region. So you have your slips and falls here and there, but hey, you're still going at it, and you've got a great day ahead. So in this section, you do need proper mountaineering gear, which Wordex gives you a detailed gear list to get through, which is very helpful. And you can also bring your own gear, but also just the sense of what technical stuff you need with mountaineering boots, harness, crampons, and then how to use it all. They teach you along the way. One of the most beautiful things about this trip that I found was the connections, the relationships we made with our staff, with our porters, with our guides. They basically became family because you spend so much time with them, but also go through these incredible experiences and memories with them, which you can share forever now. For those who have been to Nepal, you know about the Nepali. They're humble. They go out of their way to help you. They're always there for the extra hand, for the extra bit to make your experience so much better. And they truly were. They never disappointed us at all. The Highland excursion staff or work expedition staff that Wordex hires for this trip, they're very well treated. They're highly trained in first aid. The main guide speaks English very well, and it's always keeping you up to date with any situations. And so you feel very comfortable, confident, and supported throughout the whole trip. And the support team, they change out throughout most sections in terms of gear, supplies, food, and along the way. Which makes it much easier and better for us as clients to, just know that all of that stuff is taken care of. That all you got on your back is basically a day pack with snacks, a couple of warm layers, and just to keep you going along the way of a day. Whereas your porters will carry the food, and Sherpas will fix lines, and they alternate throughout the trip. Judah, he joined us for 6 stages on the whole Great Himalaya Trail. So he's one of the first guides in history to do that. Shiri Lama, one of our technical guiding Sherpas, absolute legend, a lot of fun up in the mountains. And then here are a couple more who are very supportive along the way. So section 3, Everest Rolling region.
That's me again. This is definitely one of my favourite sections. Absolutely beautiful, and particularly Gokyo Lake. I mean, it is just the most spectacular colour. And again, we're really fortunate with the weather. It was so sunny, so the lake was just this amazing, vibrant turquoise colour. And this is that Lac Persona? Yeah. But you can see, I guess, the closest of the relationships that we've developed there. That we just celebrate together whenever we got to the top of mountains and over passes. It was fantastic. So with the Gokyo region, what you do is you do arrive at a beautiful little village called Gokyo, and you stay in an eco-lodge. So for us, that was 2 nights out of our little yellow tents. We didn't know ourselves. We had beds, a dining room, facilities like that, which was awesome. And to help with acclimatisation, because we had 2 people join us for this section, and there's this amazing lookout called Gokyo Ri that you climb up to acclimatise. And honestly, it has the most amazing view, I think we'd all probably agree, in Nepal, that you're looking out way over, with Everest, you can see up here, and lots of other 8,000 metre peaks either side of it. And just to see the clouds feathering off the top is just absolutely remarkable. Once you get to the top, you just want to stay there for hours and hours. So this is up the top, marked with those prayer flags that signifies you've made it to the top. And as you can see, the view that you're looking down upon is the beautiful lakes and this amazing glacier that is Nepal's longest glacier. And it's quite remarkable, it's just huge. And to get there, we basically had to trek across the glacier and then climb up over the wall and then around. The little village is just tucked in down the bottom there. So absolutely memorable day. For me, that was definitely one of the highlights of the entire trip. Now I've got another video, and this one's taken from Renjala, which was the next pass that we climbed up and out of Gokyo to get towards the Tame region. A little bit windy. There we are looking across at Everest, down to the lake.
5,200 meters. Nice strong winds coming down from the further the west. And beautiful views down to Gokyo reading out to Everest and the clouds now.
And then this is climbing up another technical pass on ropes. This is this Tachilatsa. Okay, again there are sections where you're between the ropes walking along. But at this stage we're getting our confidence up and getting a lot more sure-footed and really acclimatized well. Yeah, and wow. You just have to stop and keep looking up around you just to soak it all in. Yeah, we've got our gaiters on, our crampons. Yeah, back onto fixed lines. And then we're coming down over a glacier, an ice field, there were crevasses. But the Sherpas had definitely chosen the best path for us, looking after us. And we're heading down to a glacier, Trikati Glacier. Yeah. So, you just hop over a pass and you just really don't know what's ahead of you. It's, it's quite a thrill to think what's on the other side and, how long till we get to camp. It was absolutely brilliant. So here we are, camped out on Trikati Glacier. So, as you can see, it's not green grass and flat. You're just having to find a good spot for your tent. And just, for me also, it's the amazing cloud formations that you're surrounded by, that the weather changes, dramatically as the days go on. And this is us basically boulder hopping. We're coming along the glacier. So, a lot of the glaciers are actually covered with all this rubble and slate and rocks. So it's quite a journey. It's certainly not flat. It's a lot of, up and down, and, we spent probably a good, 4 hours, didn't we, before lunch, trekking along. So we're certainly getting fitter through that. Okay, so now we're on to Langtang section, so I'll hand the baton to Bex.
So before we started section 4, we actually headed back to Kathmandu for a couple of days of well-earned rest. And also, I think it was really useful for us because we could pick up a little bit of extra gear and also drop off a few things that we realised over those past few months that we didn't need. So after a few days, we headed back out and caught a bus to a place called the Last Resort. Unfortunately, we didn't go to the resort there, but that was alright. And we started with a small link section because to join up with stage 4, they had to acclimatise a bit, whereas we could just go straight up to the heights. But we were kind of still in the foothills, walking through valleys like that across bridges. So we met up with Jasmine, who was joining us. She actually joined us from stage 4 all the way to the end. So she became a new member of our family. It was really lovely. Yes. And we met her at a place called Panchpokuri, and that means 5 lakes, and they're very sacred lakes there. So we actually had a rest day and celebrated our halfway point there, which was really nice. But as you can see, it was quite misty. We did have quite a bit of mist and cloud at the start of that section. And this section also included our last technical pass, so we were all really excited to finally get off our harnesses and helmets and ice axes and crampons. So this here is Tillman Pass, about 5,400 meters, and you can see that we're camped on the glacier, ready for the next day to head up really early. And that's just an image of some of the bridges that we cross. They're definitely more stable than they look, and we wouldn't be crossing them if they were. So here's just a video of us going up over Tillman Pass, and once we go up over Tillman Pass, we then come down, cross another glacier, and then head into the Langtang Valley. And so I'll just play this. So we have to head off pretty early in the mornings for all of our pass crossings, just because that's when it's most stable because as the sun warms up the ice, you have more chance of rockfall. So we do start pretty early on these days, but it means that we're over pretty early as well. So this is heading down, we're over the pass and we'll turn left into the Langtang Valley. But before that, we actually had our first river crossing, or major river crossing, and it was glacial water, so you can imagine how cold that was. And this was, it wasn't that wide a river, but it was wide enough that by the end, your toes are completely numb. And yeah, we're walking on boulders underneath, so it was quite unsteady. But as you can see, the team are just, they're so helpful every step of the way. They put a rope in for us there, and one of the porters actually stood there and helped us across as well as the guides. So yeah, they were just, they go beyond any expectations that we had. They really were always there for you. And there's some of the wildlife along the way in the Langtang region. One was posing for us there. And as you all know, last year's earthquake was really, really terrible and affected a lot of people across Nepal. And this section definitely encompassed a lot of the damaged areas. And this is Langtang village, and that's where the rock and ice fall occurred down that slope and just completely covered the village. So I think they say that there was about 1,000 people buried. But yeah, yeah, I can't sum up the emotions, but to actually arrive here and see the damage and knowing that people's lives are lost and some people who are left have to rebuild. So it was actually really hard because we had to cross the landslide area because that's the only way the trail goes down the valley. So yeah, that was a really tough part. And yeah, it shows that this was in
April 2014.
Oh no, when we crossed.
We in May.
Yeah, so you can see that there's still.
It was 2000.
Yeah,
2 years later.
Yeah, so
1 year.
but there was still a lot of rebuilding to go. So the funds actually haven't got to all the villages. So yeah, they still need a lot of support. So we're trying to raise funds for the Australian Himalayan Foundation as well. So we headed down the Langtang Valley. We did see a few other hikers, which was really good to see because some tea houses have been rebuilt there, so it was really nice to see that people were starting to come back into that area. And then we headed off onto another link section. So these became a bit infamous as, ooh, where are we going? So, and often, it's not where tourists generally go, these link sections, but I mean, they were amazing because you got to meet locals who never really saw tourists that much. So we paid for our campsite, we bought food off them. So it was really nice to pass through these villages where tourism hasn't really had an effect yet. And that leads to stage 5.
Alright. I was also just going to mention Florian, there it is.
Oh yeah.
Florian, so this guy here, you can't see him, but he also joined us for the whole trek from stage 1 to stage 7. He became, again, like Jasmine, part of the family. So it was 5 of us who did the whole GHT. But Florian's from Switzerland, so obviously I don't think World have the budget for that. Send him over here from Switzerland. So yeah, he was definitely a big part of our trip as well. Now, stage 5, Manaslu, probably my favourite of the trip, just because I mean this picture really sums it up. Just magnificent. I know we've seen it in all the other sections as well, but here especially you had the mountains, but then the green valleys and a lot of culture. People were lovely. It was very impressive. And these are quite popular trekking routes too. So in terms of a section that's a little bit easier or not as out there, easy to adjust. I'd probably recommend this one if you're just going to join one section. Brooke, three Americans joined us this section, and one of them, Brooke, took 2,500 photos, I think, in the 3 weeks of this section. So, considering we only took 5,000 between us and the whole thing, this gives you an idea of how many photo opportunities there are in this section. So, although the main trekking route in this area is really good because it is so well travelled, the earthquake did damage parts of it. And this particular picture here, that we're walking up the valley, I think it's the Budi Gandaki River towards Manaslu. I walk out the valley here. The river that you see had actually, its banks had broken and the river had swollen, and the path used to go kind of through there and basically was destroyed. They were rebuilding it, but there was an alternative track, okay, which was this bridge here. Now, before this photo was taken, and the day we got to the camp, the bridge was fine. But we were in camp that afternoon, and suddenly we heard some shouting outside. Came out, and the bank had collapsed, and the bridge had therefore split in two. And we thought at that stage that was our only way through. And so there was a bit of commotion. Oh, what are we going to do? The guides had a bit of a meeting, and luckily there was an alternative bridge a little bit back down the river, so we had to retrace our steps the next day and take a bridge that we thought looked a little bit sketchy when we walked past it the day before, but in actual fact, like most bridges, as someone mentioned before, it's not as bad as it looks. You know, they're pretty good at making bridges in Nepal because there's so many of them. So I think there's a few coming up. A video coming up. Oh no, you'll see it later. Yeah, it must be the next one. So here we are again. So we're still heading up towards Manaslu. Okay, you can see just the beautiful valleys, and the vegetation was amazing. Low altitudes here, but then heading up into the high altitudes later on. That is Manaslu. Here we actually spent a rest day at the base of Manaslu, probably one of my favourite campsites. In the morning at sunrise we got up, sorry, that's Manaslu there. In the morning we got up and had some amazing photo opportunities with the sun kind of reflecting off the peak. It was very impressive. Okay, and this is the video I was talking about. So this is when we had to retrace our steps and cross a, somewhat, interesting looking bridge. Let's put it that way. So from back here, it looks a little bit daunting. Nepalese people are very resourceful. There's nails in it. This is the top of Langtang Pass. I'll talk about it.
Look really good. Is it the tea? Hey! Alright, now we just said about 1,600 meters. Go down to 15. 15! Party down. It's rocket. And through Manaslu up to Yamagana next.
Yeah, so you can see the beards are getting a bit longer there. Callum and I actually clean shaved, well, number one on the top and the beard before we started, and we had a bit of a competition on the beard front. So you might see various stages of that. So again, still heading up here in the Manaslu Valley towards Lakila, which was the video you just saw. To get into the Annapurna region, you have to cross the Lakila Pass, which is, as you saw, quite a kind of barren landscape, almost lunar-like, which is kind of above the tree line, which is around about 4,000 meters and the pass itself was 5,300 or so. That's that type of lunar, almost lunar landscape we're talking about. So in the Annapurna region, we went up the valley, and the main pass, or the main kind of draw card, is Tarongla Pass. I was getting a little bit confused there, but this here is actually heading up to Tarongla Pass, which is, as I said, one of the main trekking routes in Annapurna. See back in Heather on the top there. Amazing valley. The approach, it's just really impressive. There we go. So stage 6, I think, is that back to you now?
That's it.
Yeah.
So stage 6, Dolpo region. Progressively getting further west. Absolutely beautiful area. So for those who know how Nepal is situated, Tibet to the far north, and then India surrounding far south to the east and west. Dolpo region, it was what I thought Tibet would be like. It was absolute lunar landscape, beautiful sort of harsh terrain, desert style with shrubs, bushes everywhere, and including the incredible sort of Tibetan culture. You could just feel and see the migration of Tibetans over the years coming into Nepal and filtering out with their cultures, religious aspects, and also how these settlements are around the place. It was truly amazing. So if you're up for a cultural experience of Nepal and Tibet, I'd recommend stage 6 in the Dolpo region, where you cut through, drive your way through over many lovely high passes along the way. By this stage, we were starting to really feel it with our legs, our mentality, our just whole bodies. We were reaching about day 100, so triple figures here, and so you're starting to see the impact of continuous exercise every day. It was absolutely stunning. Every day was a new adventure. It added extra, just terrain and views coming in everywhere. This photo here, beautiful rainbow just popping out. We had some amazing just rain showers coming each day. We were getting a bit nervous here if we were going to expect the monsoon to hit. So this time of year, coming to summer, and knowing the monsoon in that part of Asia is quite torrential when you get the rain. So possible floodings, just loads of water everywhere. But that didn't keep us away from keep going. Fortunately, this was actually just an isolated shower, so the monsoon eventually caught up to us a few weeks later. In this section, we started to use ponies as our porters. They were quite reliable. They'll do their job, getting us A to B each day. They have a bit of fun, rounding off for some extra turf, for a bit of food. But our pony drivers who came with the group and helped us out, get them in most good form for every day to get our gear on time to each site for the evening ahead. We continue following through many beautiful rivers, all glacial fed from the northern Himalayas, and beautiful pass which is wind your way through. So here's a quick video on another 5,000 meter pass. There's quite a few in the Dolpo region, but it was well worth it for the incredible views you had in all directions. So all the prayer flags marking the top of the pass, you felt pretty good once you reached it.
Section 6, Dolpo region, day 116, Great Himalaya Trail. We're about 5,200 meters. We're feeling pretty great today after that climb, about 1,200 meters from the lower valley. It's a big effort. With the consistent days of relentless exercising, the legs and the body are starting to feel it, but you just keep going, dig deep, and encourage each other.
So, as you can see, we're looking tired. The beards are growing quite a lot, and we're starting to really see how much weight we lost throughout the trip. Just every day going at it. But we were prepared. We could see what we'd already achieved to keep us going to the next steps, and just knowing the sort of countdown of how many days it would take to reach the far west, Hilsa on the border of Tibet and Nepal. And we were well fed throughout the trip. The support team of our cooks and Sherpas provided us with 3 main meals a day, all cooked up, prepared for you, which made it best prepared for us to keep going every day, going at it. So coming along, we see these incredible monasteries, nunneries and temples in the Dolpo region. Just absolutely beautiful. Nothing like any other part of Nepal. These areas will be over like 500 to 600 years old. Absolutely just take you back in time. This lunar landscape just opened us up. It was new, it was fresh variety compared to the rest of Nepal. So if you're up for something groovy, go for Dolpo. Couple more passes, marking up, incredible landscape. So you feel like you're on a different planet. You're just walking around, and by this time you're like, just absolutely beautiful headspace, and we're really coming together to push through the end. And yeah, continue on, find the trail. So all the Sherpas along the way, they've done these regions before, so they know exactly where to go. Where your campsite will be at the end of the day, where the best water resources will be, just to keep everything as smooth running as possible. We had been coming across these beautiful little oases where these villages were surrounded by, to survive, to build crops, to have cattle and other animals around to sustain life in these very remote and rural areas. Tourism is slowly trying to pick up in the Dolpo region, but it's with your help and by visiting those areas, you're able to give that economical kick to really introduce it. And you would definitely not regret that experience you have in the Dolpo region. We had many more beautiful suspension bridges along the way. It was quite entertaining watching the ponies go over them. It's something a bit freaked out, but they got a good kick along and kept it rolling. In the Dolpo region, there's also these beautiful glacial lakes, fed out from the streams, with the glaciers coming down, pouring below. Absolutely beautiful. Out of the middle of nowhere, you come across these huge lakes. All of them are sacred, deemed to be with these incredible stories of history behind them, to how they come to be through the Nepali culture. This one's called Foxindo Glacier Lake. Beautiful colours of blue, crystal clear all the way through. And we had a couple, cheeky washes here and there, but yeah, we had a good time at it. And here we go, stage 7, far west, the final section of the Great Himalaya Trail.
So this is the last section. So we were pretty exhausted by this time, but we were so excited that we were actually getting towards the end. We could kind of feel it. We were getting there. So this is heading further west, and we meandered through all these valleys, and we didn't actually see too many high peaks along the way, but it was really lovely going through all these villages that tourism doesn't really get to. So it was quite misty. Yeah, the monsoon had definitely caught up with us, and we had a few days of torrential rain, but that's okay. We kept going. Everything was soaked, so we didn't care by the end of the day. Yeah, we're all pretty exhausted. That was one of the hardest days. I had really, really, really bad gastro. We think, because we started to get a bit sick about that time, we think maybe because the monsoonal rain started, that all that water, bringing all that sediment, put in the rivers, and that's the water we drank. So they were boiling the water, but sometimes you just can't boil it all out. So they were doing the best they could to make sure we weren't sick, but we weren't sick up until that point. So they were doing an amazing job. I think it was just because of the rain we started to get a bit sick. There's also quite a few landslide areas that we crossed, but by that time we were okay with crossing any type of terrain. So, and here's a video that kind of sums up one of the rainy days. You can see that the path has actually turned into a river, and we're all wearing some really colourful ponchos or rain jackets that probably we didn't need in the end because we were sweating enough that they got wet on the inside anyway. So it was pretty humid. So we ended up a bit later not actually wearing rain jackets because everything was just going to get wet.
Fabulous, certainly.
staircases I've ever been on, I have to say. But you know, the views, and because we were so close to the end, it was just, you know, you take everything and just, as we said, just keep going. So I'll talk a little bit about the people in this section. So like some of the other sections, we were in this area in a region that doesn't get much tourism. So you go through a lot of these villages in the foothills, and they were just happy, you know, to see you and to meet you and find out about where you're from, that sort of thing. These people live off the land, like the crops here are their main source of income, the sustainability. Basically, whatever they don't eat themselves, they can sell, but it's not much, and so it is a struggle, you know, day by day. But they're so happy that, you know, you realise things about our life back here that, you know, you start to question about what you actually need and what you don't need, because these people don't have much, and you can see, you know, just looking at those kids' faces that, you know, they're pretty happy with what they've got. So, a few landslide areas, okay, towards the end. But again, by then we'd kind of seen everything, so yeah, it was just another challenge in a trek full of challenges. And here we are right at the end at Hilsa. So this is the border town of Nepal and Tibet. Basically, we got here and then took a few photos and had to trek back for 3 days and then fly back to Kathmandu. So we were really excited to get to the end. We've gone from east to west, and then, you know, walking back, even more excited because we knew we were coming home. A little video. So
We've made it to the border. Day 126. Yeah, we're at Hilsa, the border town with Tibet. It's about 3,600 meters. And we've walked all the way from Kathmandu in the east to Hilsa here in the west, and we've made it.
Level 1,700 kilometers, 5 months later. It's bodies are tired, but we're going strong. That's it. Look forward to seeing you. They're coming over to show!
you can see how excited we are. Yeah, just smiles on our face, I think, tells it all. The guides, if you're wondering about the scarves around our necks, they were quite a common gift in Nepal. Each of those colour scarves are adorned in the Om Mani Padme Hum, the Buddhist mantra. And the colours, the separate colours are the colours of the prayer flags, which you can actually see here, thrown up around the office. So that's just a way of giving us a blessing in traditional way. And so we got a lot of those, especially at the end. It was a big thing for the staff to kind of present those to us, and then we actually did the same back to the guides. So wondering about those, I think. Yeah, that's the answer. That's us all. So Florian is the guy in the middle, and then the 4 of us. Right at the end with the little banner we made up. So, very happy. Across the bridge here, Chinese military boarding guarding the border basically into Tibet. So yeah, we weren't actually allowed to take photos on the other side, so we took a photo on this side. Yeah. There we are.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is just do a really brief a couple of sentences each what the GHT meant for us, and then we've got a little funny video, and then we'll be open for questions from you. So Beck, did you want to start with sort of in a nutshell what GHT meant?
It's always hard to sum up 5 months of your life. People always ask me, oh, what was the highlight? And I was like, oh, everything. But I think probably what we took from the whole experience was one of my highlights, what we learned by doing that, by taking ourselves out of this world into another world. So one thing I think I learned is how important communication is with other people. And I tried to learn, or we all tried to learn quite a bit of Nepali just so we could communicate with our team, because the head guide, he had really good English, and the assistant guides had a bit, but the porters and the cook team didn't have that much, or they were quite shy in using their English. So in us trying to learn Nepali and speak to them and just say, hi, how are you? Oh, look, the sun's out. Oh, look at the mountain. Oh, this is delicious food. It really helped to form the friendships that we have with our team. So it just shows how much, a few words, how far that can go with people. So just, walking down the street, we don't really say hi to each other. So it's made me think a bit more about how we communicate in a society. So that was a really special part of our trip.
So for me, I think I really relish the opportunity to get away from the busyness that is, modern day life, free from technology and work stress and all that other stuff that happens. Living my simple routine, getting from A to B, eating breakfast, lunch and dinner, like that's all we have to think about. And it was so refreshing to just have a clear mind and experience nature in its full, that's what I could say. It was an amazing experience and definitely worth it. Good chance. Thank you.
Well, the GHT. 5 months of life, right? Just an incredible experience where every day we have a new challenge ahead of us. To continue going for your body, your mind, your spirit, everything testing to its absolute limits. The most amazing thing was sharing it with family, an experience which will last forever. We'll have, cherish those memories. Out of all of it, I absolutely loved just the whole immersion within a new culture, a new part of the world. We felt completely immersed in this world that, you just became a part of it. You were so conscious of your daily routine, your every step of the way, and just who you interacted with, that we invested the time to just talk to each other, to talk to locals, new people along the way, and it takes you into a new environment where you just feel quite free and capable of achieving so much. At first, it is overwhelming. 5 months going at it. How are you going to cope? How's your body going to go? How are you going to go as a team, trying to get through it all? But you just come together. You pull yourself together through it, you encourage each other, and you just have a wonderful time. And there's no doubt about it that all of you in this room would be able to manage that, to do this trip yourselves, to do it with a friend, to do it by yourself. You make friends along the way, of course. And I think never to doubt yourself on your full capabilities of what you truly can achieve, physically, but mentally. It is truly amazing how able you are to push yourself to the next step that you might be doubting right now. It is all possible, and as long as you surround yourself with those people who are going to get you to the end, then who knows what the limits are.
Kind of drawing all those thoughts together, and for me it was to go and have an adventure with my family and to live life to the full and just grab that opportunity when we were all able to do it and had the time, and just to make that most of every day and have those conversations on the trail that perhaps in busy life we don't get the opportunity to have, but to get out there and live life to the full. So we really encourage you as well to grab opportunities like that. So we'll just show this quick little video, and then feel free to ask us anything you like. Okay.
Himalaya Championships. One of the best hills to go down and slide our way down to today. So Roger and I are gonna race it.
Yeah, I'll take you on.
Gonna get slow just down here, about 100 meters or so. Nice degree angle. And see how go!
round. So has anyone got any questions? You'd like to know? Yes, yeah. Ah, yes. Yeah, we had solar panels, which were fantastic. They worked really well, didn't they? They basically lasted us all the way. We had 2 between us, and we had battery packs that we could charge and put those aside, and then charge our devices directly off the solar panel or from those battery packs. And they were really sturdy. So basically last us the whole way through. But you can also pay a small fee to, if you do stay at a tea house or you're having lunch near a tea house, and to plug in directly there, which is another great option as well. Yeah. Yes?
Did you have any injuries along the way that you had to nurse and made things difficult? Sprain an ankle, pull the muscle?
We were really, really lucky. I think our guardian angels were working overtime because we didn't have an injury, did we?
No injuries at all. Main thing, maybe like altitude, you get pretty puffed. We got gastro a couple of times, but that's just the normality of traveling that part of the world, and you just keep going, really. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
How much training did you do?
Well, you did a lot of training.
I did. Yeah. It's interesting because we all train differently. I guess I was fit for running, so for me it was learning, I guess, to trek and get used to walking trekking boots and climb at altitude. And I hadn't done any mountaineering before, so for me that was brand new. So I guess that baseline level of fitness puts you in really good stead for trips like this. So training for you guys?
We just kept up our normal routine with like lots of running and swimming, and tried to do as much rock climbing as we could fit in as well, just to kind of get used to that action. So just to have a really, really good base level of fitness. You also get fit along the way. I'm not saying don't start with any good level of fitness, but you do get, mountain fit.
Yeah, you take it pretty slow at the start.
Yeah.
You might only walk 4 hours a day or something, in those first couple of weeks. So take it slow, and the base level of fitness does help, definitely.
Yeah.
You seem to be carrying a lot more than the usual 8 kilogram tank.
Yeah, my pack, I do have it was a 60 to 70 litre pack. I kept my valuables on me, and that was like a sizable dry bag within my bag. And as I think Cal mentioned, layers. So in your bag, typical day you might carry maybe 2 or 3 extra layers to put on because the weather does change. Rain gear, rain pants if possible, water bottles, snacks. So it does add up. I mean, all of your clothing and things you don't need for the day are being carried separately, but in reality you probably don't need that much in certain sections, but some sections, like when you're at higher altitude, the weather is very unpredictable, so you need to carry the extra stuff.
Everything, beanie, balaclava.
Yeah, that's true.
And also sometimes with the passes, we would take off our harnesses or put them on a bit later, or just carry our crampons and put them on a bit later. So we kind of did need that extra space when we were doing the mountaineering sections. So, but a lot of people who joined us, they only had like tiny day packs. So if you're just doing one section, it's not lots of mountaineering, then a smaller bag is fine.
What's the youngest age that you can go on? Is there a...
We'll also have the World X. Gavin.
We'll ask Gavin about.
What's the youngest age you can do the full GHT?
Or any
Or
trekking.
Yeah. We'll bring the Himalaya next to it up here.
Yes, here he comes.
So the age?
Age, What's the youngest?
For a section.
Yeah, I mean that would basically be the same. That would basically be the same as for any of our other, sort of challenging trips or challenging tracks or mountaineering trips. It's basically going to be around 18. you know, the answer to a lot of these questions is often it depends, right? If somebody's, you know, if there's a really experienced 16-year-old and they know what they're doing, and you know, we feel confident that they've got the right mindset, like these guys have alluded to frequently this evening, the right mindset, the right background to do one of these sort of trips, yeah, absolutely. But it's generally, you know, it's generally going to be 18 plus.
Okay. How old are you? You're 12? Yes.
Yeah, well, my first trip in Himalaya I was 16.
Yeah.
And absolutely loved it. And, you know, that just gets the spark going, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you on a bus last year in October?
Yes!
I sat next to you. I thought I recognised you.
Yeah.
We have a talk later. Did he behave himself?
He was very well behaved. Very shy, I thought. There was like 11 ladies on the bus. Sorry to embarrass.
That's all right.
Did you just carry a couple of different pairs of footwear, like your mountaineering boots and your trekking boots? Is that all you had with you? Or?
We did. We also had a pair of flip-flops or thongs, depending who you're talking to. And also we had like a pair of trail runners, just as a pair of shoes to wear around camp. Yes, but we did take 2 pairs of trekking boots, just as a backup. You know, for that length of time, we weren't sure how well our boots would last. They almost made it to the end, didn't it? Our first pair. Yeah, but I guess if you're just doing one stage, yeah, you would just need the 1 pair of trekking boots. And then, yeah, for the mountaineering section, you have the mountaineering boots, yeah.
And we don't have to carry all of the footwear.
Yes.
Exactly.
Because they're pretty heavy, those pants.
They are, aren't they? Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm interested in the group dynamics, given that the 4 of you and Florin walked the whole distance, and yet you had these people coming in and out on the way. That must have been quite interesting and maybe a bit weird to cope with sometimes. I don't know. I suppose it depended a bit on them. But how did it work? Did you feel like they were a little bit foreign to the group and didn't quite understand it? Or?
We were so excited to have some fresh people to talk to. I mean, we get on, you know, so well, but it was lovely. And we think, you know, in those couple of days beforehand, we think, who are they? What do they do? How old are they? So, you know, it was wonderful, you know, to have those new conversations. And we just welcomed them with open arms. And yeah, it made them feel at home, made them feel part of the family. And honestly, there were tears, weren't there, when we were saying goodbye to people at the end of that stage. Yeah, so it was lovely. And for them to feel a part, you know, they're sharing our journey as well. So it went both ways. So no, it was great. It didn't feel strange. They just fitted in, you know, really, really well with us.
Yeah, and it worked out like our support team with our Sherpas. You know, we'd already had mountain leagues on for quite a few months when people joined. So we'd be quite fit and acclimatised, but the Sherpas would spread themselves out. That, you know, there'd always be one person with the front group, and then there'd be a sweeper at the back. So you're always looked after for, no matter, you know, how spread out you might be in the day. So that, yeah, you all get to camp, or you all get to lunch on time, and you have that time to catch up and just enjoy the whole experience together.
You didn't manage to persuade anyone to do another stage?
Well, they were keen. Some of them didn't want to go home, but work, family, other commitments meant that, yeah, and their flights were booked. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those people did come back and do several other stages. Yeah, yes. And you do hear about people, you know, doing 2 or 3 stages and gradually over a number of years completing the whole lot. Yeah, that's another way of doing it. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yep, Sarah.
The months of isolation being in such a remote area, what was the most difficult part of coming back?
Yeah, it was. I think adjusting for me, it was getting used to the crowds and hopping behind the wheel of a car again and driving. You know, you just think 5 months, but you just lose, I guess, just that autopilot that you're so used to, and remembering your PIN number when you're standing in front of the ATM, things like that. Yeah, so that, and for me, you know, shopping at Westfield, I found that really overwhelming for that first time, thinking there are shiny shops and escalators and there's food galore and, you know, the Woolworths aisles. So, yeah, you do come back looking at things through fresh eyes. Yeah, and how that?
I found it pretty difficult. I mean, we had a month travelling after, but just coming home and seeing people, it was actually hard for us to like have a proper conversation because we'd just been used to talking to these guys. And also, like, really loud places I can't deal with as well as I could before. And multitasking, like doing, you know, TV's on and you're on a computer and then Matt's talking to me. I had like a shutdown because it was just too much going on. So we had to kind of slowly bring ourselves back into the modern world. But at the same time, I want to keep the perspective that we gained while we were away, because we realised that we don't actually need that much. Like, I wore 2 t-shirts the whole time. So now I'm looking at my wardrobe being like, I probably don't need all this. And, oh, do I need that extra soft drink, or do I, you know, you kind of look at things differently and see like how much we actually consume in our everyday life. So yeah, it's been a bit hard coming back, but I think it's also been really good to get these new eyes.
Have we got time for one more question? Anyone else? Yes.
Well, so you shouldn't finish a trip like this without planning the next trip. So where are you heading next?
Yes, I'm heading back. The exciting thing is next October I'm heading back to do the Everest and the Gokyo region. And that's going to be part of a joint journey with Cantu to raise funds for cancer research. So you'll find, slipped into your brochure, is a flyer about that. And there are spaces available, so if you'd love to come and join me, I would love you to be on that trek as well. And that's a fantastic region. You go to Everest Base Camp and you cross over a high pass, it's not technical. And then you get to climb up Gokyo and see those amazing views of the lake and Everest and the 8,000 metres peak. So that's a 3-week trek. So keep that in mind. Yeah, that would be a lovely thing if you could join me. Yeah. As for the rest?
Yeah, so this is really, saving up the next one. Set the standard for more trips and, you know, just what's next as potential-wise. Push your ability of physical and mental capacity. So looking into more mountaineering expeditions and more exploratory type trips where you get to the most isolated parts of the world.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks everyone for coming. That's it's been wonderful to share with you tonight.